This is about crafting and pricing an offer that sells itself. And this is for you if you're an L&D professional used to being valued inside an organization, but you might struggle to translate that into a commercial offer as a consultant, coach, or a facilitator. Because this session will help you price your offers so it showcases your expertise, but also aligns with what your ideal clients are already searching for and what your best place to solve. And here is me. I am Ped, and I've been designing learning and development programs since the year 2000, and I set up my learning and development consultancy in 2011. In that time, I've sold programs to organizations large and small across sectors. Here are some of the more well-known brands that I've worked with. And since the year 2022, I've launched 3 B2C offers. So when we're talking about creating impactful programs and selling them, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And as Firenze just said, at this point, my business partner and I, we specialize in helping coaches and consultants design premium programs and create more sales opportunities. So what I want to cover in this talk, this section of this session, is the roadmap to design and price an offer that sells themselves, especially if you're starting out. The 5 mistakes experts make that kill momentum or undermine your credibility. I have made all of these mistakes, by the way. The difference between offer design and program design, and why knowing the difference helps to separate great services from sellable ones. The ingredients for an irresistible offer that positions you as the obvious choice. And finally, the key to charging more. Now, as a bit of a disclaimer, much of what I'm going to share with you will likely feel familiar. And if you're anything like any of my clients, this approach will really resonate, because what I'm going to show you is a more strategic way to use what you probably already know. So things land better, you sell more, and it ultimately helps you get traction with your business quicker. So along the way, I'm going to share some key lessons and some proven tips that have worked with 65 other coaches and consultants over the last 2.5 years. But let's start with the basics then. Because when it comes to designing and selling anything, potential clients are going to be asking, is this for me and why should I care? So before we dive into the roadmap, it's worth considering what makes or breaks a successful learning and development practice, because most experts will struggle for years without getting tangible results, which can lead to frustration, burnout, or my biggest fear, having to get a job again, which we do not want. And that's because they don't understand the foundational rule of what we call leverage. And that is to tap into desire, because to sell anything, there must be something to leverage. Now, we talk about leverage because that's what we use to influence people in a good way, not in a bad way, but in a good way. So we've got to identify a strong desire. Otherwise, we can't design an offer, build a business, or have a livelihood around it. But what is a desire that we're talking about? Because it's not about your desire. It's not about what you want. It's about what your market wants, or in other words, what your ideal client wants. Which leads us to the first mistake, which is more like a trap. And unfortunately, a lot of experts are especially vulnerable to this mistake. Focusing on what you can do to help. Your approach, the theories, the methods, all those beautiful, lovely, geeky L&D stuff that we love. Or they might emphasize their personal skills and experience. Either way, what this does is it disrupts the moment your potential client is asking, is this for me? It stalls the buying journey, it undermines your leverage, and it limits your ability to make the impact that you want. And this happens with something that you might have come across. It's called the curse of knowledge. Because when you're so deep in your craft, it's easy to forget what it's like to be someone who doesn't know what you know or the benefits of what you can offer. So, if empathy is one of your skills, you can use that to clarify what your ideal clients really want, and that's a key part of the roadmap. But there is a hidden trap, that even when you know this, we might fall into, and I will reveal that when I share the roadmap. So here is the roadmap. Now, we call this the clarity roadmap because from our experience, clarity sells and confusion stalls. And the roadmap clears this fog. It helps you get clear on your offer, your ideal client, and where to find them. And it helps your ideal clients get clear on their problem, your value, and their decision. And that's when the yeses come in. So to design and price your offer, I'm going to focus on the bottom two parts of the roadmap: nail niche and develop offer. And we like to think about this as a compass and a map. And when it comes to nailing niche, this is your compass. And actually, before I show that, before I show what you've got to do here, I know that the word niche can conjure up all sorts of feelings, especially for any proud generalists out there. Like, I don't know, I identify as a generalist. But as a solopreneur or a small business owner, you are responsible for your marketing as well as all the other functions in your business. And it's the job of marketing to capture attention. And it's hard to capture attention. For example, you can't catch a bird without a worm or a bee without a flower. So if you have the idea of cutting people out of your target audience will mean that you serve less people, you have to get rid of that idea now, because that's the second mistake experts make, trying to be all things to all people. And as the saying goes, if you try to sell to everyone, you sell to no one. So a good way to reframe niching when it comes to designing and pricing your offer is that you're not niching, you are developing a specialist product for a target market. And look, like with anything in life or business, this can evolve over time, so you're not trapped in. I've gone through a handful of niches myself, but it is important that you pick a direction of travel. It's important for your business, and more importantly, I really want to make this point, it's important for your productivity and well-being, because when you spread your attention across multiple opportunities, my personal experience is that at the best of times, I was overwhelmed by task switching and decision fatigue that gets in the way of designing, and at the worst of times, burnout. But more simply, you can make more progress designing one killer offering by focusing your limited attention, time, energy on one thing at a time. So to do that, you've got to identify an opportunity space to develop an offer around. Now, there are 9 considerations that we look at with my clients. We don't have time to cover them in this session. Plus, it's not a full part of the design process, but I am more than happy to share this niche navigator tool afterwards. I've got a link that I'll just drop in the chat at the end to help you lay out your different options and decide which opportunity space to follow. Now, the second 2 parts, although not an explicit part of the design process, but it's worth mentioning, especially if you're starting out, you've got to discover where to find your ideal clients and also build up a list and keep organized. Now, I'm sharing this with you here because, again, for those of you that are in, you put 1, like you're just starting out, or 2, you're working on your business part-time. Even if you've established your business, really having a clear targetable audience and a growing list of those potential clients and a simple way of keeping track of them, it's not glamorous, but it's what makes the rest of your business easier. And I wish somebody had told me this sooner. Now, this also helps to avoid having to rely on that magical referral fairy to keep you busy forever, because, to be fair, I tried to do that myself until it stopped with no warning or fallback. And I'd rather know when my next client is coming from, rather than hope that somebody sends them my way. So I just wanted to really make this case because I feel very passionate about it. And it will help me design things much easier. So back to the roadmap. Where's the roadmap gone? There it is. Okay, so designing and pricing your offer. You've identified your opportunity space and you've got a direction of travel. Now, the next stage is to develop your offer. But this is where the third mistake comes in. You develop your offer in isolation. Now, this is a hidden trap I was telling you about. You might have empathy for people, but you then go and design your offerings based on what you think the market wants. Now, we call this market value bias, and this is the number one reason why you will struggle to sell your offer, because so many people now go and design their programs, build their web pages, or even go out and try and pitch their services without having spoken to any of their ideal clients beforehand. Now, this is also despite being people oriented, maybe even you know about design thinking or design sprints. And worryingly, I see a lot of business coaches reinforce this faulty thinking by getting you to brainstorm, research competitors, and put together something you believe will sell. Now, if you've done this, that's okay. I've made this mistake too. But what if, instead of guessing what the market wants, you go and get insider information from your ideal clients before you even design or pitch any offer? And what if your ideal client actually helped you create that offer so that it is guaranteed to sell itself? This is what the develop offer phase is about. And you can think of this phase as the map that helps you navigate between the opportunity space to your profitable offer. And the reason why this works so well is because it's based on something that we call collaborative value creation. And that is the first thing you're going to do in develop offer. You're going to go and speak directly to your ideal clients. You're going to use that list that we talked about here, and you're going to start conversations with them. Now, this isn't about cold DMing and saying, hey, work with me. This is about initiating genuine conversation. So, top tip, start with people you know. Ask them if they know anybody else like them, and then extend the circle outwards. Now, we teach our clients something called authentic outreach, but at its core, it's don't be a weirdo and just start conversations. Don't try and sell anything yet. And if somebody is receptive and they seem like a good fit, then you invite them to have an insider interview, or put simply, have a market research conversation. This is where you're going to go and collect insider information. Now, this now leads us to mistake number 4. When you're having this conversation, do not ask for feedback on a preconceived idea. Do not do that. What you're here to do is to collect insights. You want to ask them about the problems they've got and what pains they are causing them, because these reveal the direct costs that trigger urgency. You also want to ask them about their goals and the obstacles blocking their goals, because this reveals the opportunity costs that triggers aspirations and FOMO, both of which will help you price your offer. And I'm going to come back to that later. But I really want to make the case for this approach, because my favorite piece about this insider interviews is that it is your secret weapon to getting sales, mostly because it's not so secret. You can hide in plain sight by asking people some questions. And you're doing this by positioning yourself as a problem solver. And it's giving you a legitimate reason to reach out to people. And when somebody agrees to an interview, when you do this well, they will feel like they're getting value from you. So you're both getting simultaneously providing value, building a relationship with your target audience, and getting that priceless information that you need to design and price that clear offer. And really, it is a win-win. Now, our clients love this approach because it doesn't feel icky or awkward, and it plays to their relationship first natural instincts, which I assume that's the kind of people that you are, like relationship first people. So this also means, I should say, that you can comfortably ask at the end, would it be okay for me to loop back when I've developed something that could solve your problems? And because they've contributed to this, they're going to say, yeah, please do. No selling, no persuasion, just getting those conversations going. So going back to the roadmap, Let's have a look at this last bit. So this is really about designing that clear and compelling offer. And here I want to talk about the difference between what an offer is and what it isn't, because I had this misconception and this can make or break your L&D business. Here's what a lot of people, including my past self, would get wrong. Because an offer isn't your coaching session, it's not your facilitated workshop, it's not your training video, it's not your service fees or anything like that. You don't deliver your offer, you deliver on your offer. Because your offer is not a service. Your offer is a promise. Your service is what you're selling, the thing that you give your clients, but your offer is how you present it, the packaging that convinces clients to buy. And so I got AI to make this image, and I really like it. It's a product inside the offer. Now, the distinction is important. Not knowing this is why we often feel frustrated when we know we have something of value, but we struggle to get clients to see it. It's not because your service isn't good enough, it's because your offer wasn't clear or compelling. So whilst your service is essential, your offer is what actually convinces someone to buy. And that's why we talk about the difference between offer design and program design. Now, speaking personally, I was really tempted to just go ahead and start designing my program and trying to sell that. But I'm telling you to pump the brakes and design your offer first, sell that, and then the program is the thing that's going to help you have the impact that you want. But you got to sell first. So what are the components of an offer? Now, I like to think about these as having 3 layers. Now, the first layer is your core promise, the transformation that your ideal clients are going to achieve and why it matters to them. Now, you'll get this from your insider interviews. And from your client's perspective, it's answering the question, is it for me? What do I get? And why should I care? And then to answer the question, how are you going to get me there? That's layer 2, your methods, your process, your tools, your approach. And there are so many creative ways to deliver on your promise. You can give them experiences. Now, I'm not going to delve into this slide, but I can share this with you afterwards or take a screenshot. But you can do everything from done for you, do it with you, do it yourself, synchronous, asynchronous, one-to-one, one-to-many, peer-led, expert-led. There are so many different ways to deliver L&D services. You can just like pick and mix, or you can give them resources to help them implement things, educate, or engage. Now, that's another conversation altogether, but I trust your learning design skills to be able to do this yourself. And then finally, you got your value amplifiers. So your bonuses, guarantees, urgency, and other elements that increases desire and reduces risk. Now, these are the elements that turn a strong offer into a no-brainer. They create momentum, and all the trust and preconceived value is amplified. So, final thing, pricing. And this is where the final mistake comes in. Selling time versus selling value. Because if you charge for time, you become a commodity. You're judged on price instead of race to the bottom. So hour-based pricing, day rates, I would highly recommend you move away from that, because that makes you seen as replaceable and it's hard to stand out. But when you charge for value, you become a trusted partner because you're paid for outcomes, not hours, and it helps you stand out in a sea of sameness. So some top tips on charging for value. Make sure that the outcome of your promise is tangible and meaningful. And usually in a B2B setting, you're either going to help people make money by increasing productivity, efficiency, or revenue, depending on your service, or save money, improving retention, reducing absenteeism, or lowering costs. If your offer isn't tied to making money or saving money, it's going to be treated like a nice to have instead of essential. And that's why one-off training sessions or a dime a dozen, the outcome is knowledge, maybe the beginning of some skill development. You can make a case that it has an impact or top or bottom line, but programs or consultancies that contribute to a company's KPIs or OKRs or whatever acronym they use, those are tangible and your potential clients can see a return on investment. And so you can charge more for it. And so I think I'll just end there then. We've talked about the roadmap, the mistakes, the difference between offer design and program design, ingredients of an irresistible offer, and the key to charging more. I will just leave you with these 3 final takeaways. Your clients don't care about your expertise. They care about the problems you help them solve. Co-create your offer with your ideal clients, and price for outcomes, not services.